Like, you know what I always say, there's no passive in my aggressive, you know?
like
so I wasn't like with my husband, like, oh yeah, it'll be fine. I was like, what the actual F are you talking about?
Woodstock, Georgia at Mad Life Stage and Studios. Tonight, we have backstage pass to watch Heather Tolley-Bauer produce her all-woman comedy show, Laugh Lines and Stretch Marks. Not only is Heather living her next best chapter as a female comic over 50, but she's giving an assist to young up-and-coming female comics as well. Welcome to We're Not Dead Yet, women rocking their next chapter.
Night, I'm a comedian. During the day, though, my day job is I'm a stay-at-home alcoholic. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking like, okay, Heather, but aren't we all? And I was like, no, girls, I was that before it was hashtag trending, okay?
I had so much fun going behind the scenes with you and your girls.
Yes.
They were all just, well, one, they were funny, as one might expect.
I would hope so, yes.
But they were just all little powerhouses too. All just really, really cool chicks.
For sure, yeah.
It's a great thing you do.
Thank you.
Well, let's go back. What was your education and early training career like?
So we're going way back. We're going way back, way back in the archives.
That's right.
So, oh my gosh. I actually went to college, have a mass communications degree.
Okay.
Spent a little bit of time being a public relations executive.
Same.
Left that, started my own business, and then became a mom, and then we moved to Atlanta, and then I became a stand-up comedian.
Okay. Well, it wasn't that easy.
It kind of was.
If you're a size 0 and I'm like, ooh, girl, I like your pants, don't be like, thanks, Spanx. Don't do that. Don't do that. That would be like me telling you that I don't need to do the Kegels. I just do them because they're fun.
It's hard. Yeah, no, but that's...
So you came to Atlanta for husband's job?
For my husband's job,
okay.
yes. Yeah, like 7 years
You told
ago.
me you were low-key pissed about that.
I was more than low-key. I mean, like, you know what I always say, there's no passive in my aggressive, you know? So I wasn't like with my husband, like, oh yeah, it'll be fine. I was like, what the actual F are you talking about? Because we were living in Connecticut at the time.
That's a culture shock.
We had been there. We're not from there, but we had been there a really long time. It was a culture shock. It was and it wasn't. But I thought it was going to be. And so, yeah.
So you had a bad attitude.
I was concerned. I had concerns about what life would look like for your old pal, Heather Tolley-Bauer.
And how old were you at this transition?
I was 44, 43, 44. Reed, our son, was going off to kindergarten. When we moved here, my husband's an executive. Like, everybody's life was doing something, and mine was completely pivoting. But, I realize now I look back on it, I had done a lot of pivoting. So I kind of knew how to reinvent myself. I'd already done it when I left the corporate world and started my own business. And then did it again when I became a mom. So I knew how to do it. I was just a little
mad that you had to.
A little mad that I had to.
So you didn't wake up and say, I'm going to be a comedian.
No.
How did that happen?
I was 44 when we actually moved. And I gave myself about 6 months to sort of just sit with it and figure out what I wanted this next chapter of my life to be. And so I was getting ready to turn 45. And I was like, well, what am I going to do? At the time, everybody had blogs. And I thought my big idea was, you know what? I am going to do something new. Once a week, once a month, something. Explore this brand new time in my life. This brand new place, city, state, part of the country. and blog about it. And the very first thing I did was I took a stand-up comedy class.
Oh my gosh.
I have been doing comedy ever since.
So did you ever progress with the blog and do other things? Or you said,
I've never blogged.
done with that?
I never blogged. Like, the next thing was going to be like lap dance class or something, you know, and I just stuck with the comedy.
You just fell in love with it?
Yeah.
What was it about it? I mean, of course,
You know what it was?
you're funny. It's funny.
I'm
but
hilarious, and I've always been funny. But you know what it was? It was really great therapy for me to stand on stage and talk about how, yes, I'm very lucky that I get to be a stay-at-home mom, but I'm a little pissed off about it. And I didn't know how well received that would be, you know, in an audience, because comedy at that time, I was performing in front of a lot of younger people. But there was always somebody who would come up to me and say, yes, I need to hear that, because it's not a very popular opinion or outlook to have. Everyone's like, oh, you're so lucky. You know, the working moms can stay home, and the stay-at-home moms want to go to work. And I'm standing here going, forgive me for not being all that excited about my schedule of Zumba. And,
right.
And what do I have on my calendar today? I'm going to go to Zumba class, and then I'm going to go pick up my Xanax prescription, and then I'm going to go see if the wine shop is open.
Busy.
And then I'm going to polish some granite and some stainless steel appliances. Back then, it really didn't feel like it was okay to say it, but there were so many people like me that kind of just needed somebody to say it. Like, yes, I am very fortunate, but I'm not fulfilled by it.
Very good.
And that's okay.
That is a great point.
And that's okay. And
There's
so
a difference.
There's a difference.
nuance.
There's a diff, right? It is. There's a nuance there. And so I would always have a couple of women that were in the audience that would say, I needed to hear that, or yeah, me too. And so I knew I needed to keep that voice.
Yeah, because even if they aren't in a position to make a change or don't feel like they should make a change, women are plagued with so much guilt about so many things.
Right.
And it helps take some of that guilt away to say, oh, I thought I was the only one that felt that way.
Exactly. Or I can't speak it out loud.
Yeah.
Because
There's something wrong.
Then I
with
come
that.
across as ungrateful
Yeah.
or whatever. And I've always known that if we can just laugh at the small stuff, that it gives us the bandwidth for the bigger stuff.
When we were younger, laundry day underwear were our granny panties, you know, because all of our lacy, thongy things were in the, dirty clothes. Well, for me, it's the opposite. When I'm wearing something lacy and sexy, it's because all my Hanes hipster cotton undies are in the hamper.
We need all the bandwidth for that.
And who knew?
Yeah.
Like I didn't. Who knew that when I started, started doing comedy 7 years ago, we'd be living in the time that we're living now. And who knew? Like, I didn't know I'd have cancer. I didn't know that. I didn't know that that my comedy would take on something completely different, in terms of meaning and purpose for me. But I just knew for some reason, somehow I just knew I needed to stay with it. So I did. I didn't do the lap dance class. I didn't jump out of a plane. I just stuck with comedy. Back up. Okay.
About that cancer.
About that cancer. Yeah. That was something. That was something.
So, my opinion, you're not that old now. So how old are you?
I'm not. Thank you. I was 40. I was 45.
45?
45.
What type?
So I know I say I'm a cancer survivor, and everybody looks at me and they just assume I'm a breast cancer survivor.
Right.
And I think it's because these look too good to be real, but they're real. But no, I'm a colorectal cancer survivor.
Ugh. Early.
Yes, early. Yeah, at the time, young to be diagnosed. As it turns out, really not that young. I'm getting ready to hit my 6-year survivorversary. So yay for that.
Yay for that.
6 years ago, I was considered early diagnosed, too young to have it. What we know now is that no, people are being diagnosed with it much earlier. Luckily, we found it early. It was a really crazy way that I was diagnosed because I wasn't having any symptoms. But I had a really smart doctor who looked at my family history and said, you know what, I really want you to get a colonoscopy because I really think that your dad had a gene that makes you at high risk. And so I did, got my colon.
What a smart doctor.
Really smart doctor, and really a handsome doctor too.
Woo!
Because if he hadn't have been so adorable, I might have just ignored him. Because you know, I was like, "You're so adorable. I will get that colonoscopy." But he was great, and he followed up with me. He was actually a dermatologist. It's a really crazy story. So I got my colonoscopy, found out I had stage 1 colon cancer, found out that I do carry a gene that makes me susceptible for a lot of different cancers. I've been doing comedy for a year. Wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my comedy. And at that moment, I realized, oh my gosh, I have a real opportunity here to do a couple of things. One is to advocate for early colonoscopies, getting your colonoscopies as early as you possibly can, and to raise awareness about colorectal cancer because people think that it's an old man's disease.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was a young woman. You know, I always say I was a MILF when I was diagnosed. And so you know what a MILF is, right?
Yeah, I do.
I was a mommy interested in living past 50. That's what I was.
That's what it is.
And that's what my doctor said, you know, had we not caught it, I might have had only 5 years to live. And here I am 6 years later. And I knew that I needed to use my stage time for something bigger, you know,
For good.
more important.
Right.
But also because I'm so passionate about comedy for moms and women, just to remind us, we have got to put ourselves first. We have got to put our physical health first, our mental health first. So, you know, one of my favorite jokes is like now I'm almost 52 years old, and as a colorectal cancer survivor,
You could be my little sister.
oh my gosh, see?
See how young you are?
But I always tell people that, you know, as at 52, almost colorectal cancer survivor, now when somebody says that they're checking out my butt, it doesn't mean what it used to.
Right.
Sometimes it does.
Right.
Sometimes it does. But mostly it just means, you know, I'm getting my colonoscopy.
Well,
You know, I don't mind being 51 years old because, I mean, is it just me or are those Land's End swimsuits getting sexier and sexier?
well, and I am fortunate, I guess, in that I had some serious digestive problems. The benefit of all that is we've been monitoring my little colon for a decade now.
Well, and I talk about that too because people don't get screened because they're afraid of what they're going to find out. And I say, listen, first of all, the colonoscopy is the best nap you'll ever get.
Oh
That
my
is the
gosh.
I mean,
The
come on.
Michael Jackson drug.
Yeah, I mean, it is. You're not going to want to be starting something for a very long time. See what I did there? She said Michael Jackson, and I just turned that right into
No,
something.
I was like, what did you just
I know.
do to
I
me?
mean, you can understand why
Can
he
we
was,
do it again?
He was very. You can understand why he was a
Definitely.
big fan.
Yeah.
But also, you know, when they took out two-thirds of my colon, I always talk about that on stage because I want people to know that I live a very, very normal, healthy life. And there is an upside to only having a third of a colon. And I can tell you that this is how I describe it, just so people can understand it. You know, your colon is like 285, you know, the interstate. And they just built me my own expressway. I just go from here to here, which means my traffic never gets backed up. So that's it's a good
That's
thing. That's why I keep doing what I do. Like I said, I really feel like, you know, we all know laughter's the best medicine. Sometimes medicine is the best medicine, but you know, humor humor heals, but when we tell our stories, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
It changes lives when we tell our stories. And I always get an email from somebody that says, hey, by the way, because of you, I got my colonoscopy. Yeah.
As a professional stand-up comedian, what does that look like? How often do you perform? Where do you perform?
So I have to balance my stage time with bedtime, right? Used to be I had to balance that with my son's bedtime, but now I have to balance it with my own bedtime because we all know that at our age, 9:30 is the new midnight. But so I do perform on local shows, and I do get booked to perform in other places,
Sure.
around the country or whatever. But I mostly perform right here at Mad Life Stage and Studios in Woodstock, Georgia, because I host and produce a show called Laugh Lines and Stretch Marks.
Yes.
I'm so proud of that show. I started it almost 4 years ago when there were no all-female comedy shows in Atlanta. It was
Wow.
very rare. And so for 4 years now, I have been providing what I call quality stage time at quality pay for really amazing female stand-up comedians. And every once in a while, I'll have a man on the stage because we do love men. I'm married to a great guy.
Nothing wrong with
No,
it.
I'm married to a great man, and we are trying to raise our son to be a great man. So
Yes.
there's no anti-male vibe from this show at all.
Right.
But we still live in a time when there are comedy bookers who will say, you know what, we booked a woman last month. It didn't go well. We're not booking women anymore.
Well,
And I say we are.
we were here with We're Not Dead Yet the other night.
It was so fun to have you.
It
was
was
so fun to have you here.
A packed house, mostly women having a ball,
Mhm.
but some of the old guys, who I guess are your regulars, were having the most fun of the whole bunch. They were roaring, roaring with laughter.
My husband and my son wear the same deodorant. So now they smell the same. And I gotta tell you, that does not make me want to have sex with my husband. That makes me just want to go tell my husband to clean his room.
Yeah.
Women are funny.
Women are hilarious.
FYI.
Yeah. We're smart too.
Yes.
And guess what? They let us drive and vote now. I don't know if some people are aware of that. It is mostly a female audience.
Mm-hmm.
However, the men who come have an amazing time. And it is because it is top-notch comedy. My perspective is being an older woman, being married, being a mom. That's super relatable. So I do love it when I get a man who's in the audience who comes up to me after the show and says, "This was a great show."
Well,
6 inches of stitches on my head, and I mean a real 6 inches.
I'm super proud of the show. I'm so proud of how successful it's been. This place sells out on a Wednesday or a Thursday night. Sometimes, before the pandemic, that was a regular occurrence, and after it's happened before. It's just because it is everything that I believe in. It's everything that I knew I was put on this earth to do once I found comedy, was to make moms and women and couples laugh at the small stuff so that we all have the bandwidth for the bigger stuff.
what a gift for all of the women out there who are still trying to figure out what that purpose of their next chapter is, to get to see somebody like you living it out and be so rewarded for it is just amazing.
Yeah, it's not where I thought I would be. I certainly didn't expect me to be a stand-up comedian. And, when I started comedy 7 years ago or so, I certainly didn't feel like, I didn't think I'd still be doing it. It was a whim. And then, a year later, I sure as heck didn't think, I didn't know if I'd still be alive, to be honest.
Right.
So it is as much of a gift for me, if not more so, than it is for the audience. But I really do understand that what we take this show, I don't take myself very seriously, but I take this show very seriously because these women got babysitters or, ordered pizzas. I always say they had pizzas ordered or delivered. They shaved their legs to get out of the house.
Or
And
grumpy husband to stay home.
and maybe if they have a husband that they had to kind of negotiate with, I understand that.
Yeah.
And so we really focus on every show. It's just a high quality show, and I couldn't be more pleased with it. And if I do nothing else, if this is, I don't want to have a Netflix special. That's not what my goal is. But if I accomplish nothing else in, my comedy career, this is enough for me. This is enough.
But speaking of that, you are dreaming some new dreams as well.
I
shared
am. I'm
with me.
pivoting again.
You're pivoting again. Tell us about that.
Well, I've learned a lot during my comedy career, and what I've really gotten very clear on is what I really want. And what I really want is to make as many women laugh as I possibly can and get paid for it. And comedy allows me to do one of those things, but not both of those things. And so because I feel like because I've worn a lot of hats, I've had a lot of chapters, I'm a cancer survivor, I feel like I have a really great, outlook on things. I've decided that I am kind of moving into the keynote speaker space and comedy, but doing that in a comedy framework.
Sure.
Doing exactly what I do on stage, but doing it for women's conferences and women-owned businesses and women's events. Really just to remind women that you're okay, I'm okay. Just because you forgot the cupcakes doesn't make you a bad mom. That kind of stuff.
Christmas, I accidentally called my son a jackass. I did. It was a very awkward Christmas morning. My son, who was 11 at the time, and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So
Here's to the next chapter.
the next chapter, and then the next. Because why? Because we are
Because
not
we
dead.
are not dead yet.
We are not dead
We are
yet,
not,
girl.
sister.
I hear you.